Food production processing, mercifully quite a short one, but again, it comes down to two key ones. There's an intensive farming versus sort of extensive or organic farming, right? That's one. And the other one is the different types of food processing in terms of how an animal is produced. Look at the spec, guys, in particular. It highlights, you need to know what pasteurization is, you need to know what homogenization is, so on. Make sure you're clear on those. So I'm just going to do the food production one as a single. All right. So boom, 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 share. Here we go. Right. So these are the three that we're looking for: milk, eggs, and meat. And I think I've said this before, boys. You could just as easily chat GPT or put these questions, in some of your other AI mechanisms. Okay, we know all the products that question might be asked. What are typical products that milk are gone from? You see some of them there. Okay, dairy industry is absolutely massive. There are a couple of great links there, boys, on them. I'll put them up on thing about how thing happens. So I just mix our storage, guys. Filtration. Okay, so the animals come in, filtration. Be careful. Those filters, those sucks, then lead to the tank. When they're in the tank, it's kept cool. Okay, how's milk quality control done? Look at those tests there. Somatic cell count, butter fan, lactose scan. All those things are usually done by the guy on the tanker when they arrive. Okay. Fat being removed and then added back in again is how we end up with either full fat, semi-skimmed, or skim milk. Okay. Big idea is pasteurization, and the bottom line is, what does that mean? Look at that third paragraph. Heating milk to 70 odd degrees for at least 15 seconds. Okay. Now I think later on we'll come to another type of milk, but that's the big idea. Okay. You can even watch. Yes, UHT gets an even longer blast. All right. Homogenization is essentially the milk fat globules are sort of reduced in size, pumped around, so they're redistributed so that the cream is distributed evenly. So you don't end up like we used to in the old days when I was a cub with a layer of cream at the top. Doesn't exist anymore, okay? Milk preservation products, dried and powdered milk are the obvious ones. Frozen milk. For example, frozen milk, which we should be aware of course, is bee stings, colostrum. We can keep it then. Be careful though, don't put it in a microwave when you're reheating it again. Canned milk, okay? Other products we're fine at. So be clear on that. Milking, filtering, storage, cooling, collecting, testing, standardization, which is when the fat's taken out. Pasteurization is when the milk is killed to kill or heated to kill bacteria. Homogenization is when it's probably put back in again and redistributed. The fat, bottling, labeling, distribution. Maybe just stop, take a look at that one. Eggs, okay. Big idea. We're fine with that. You've probably heard of sky eggs, different types of playing, free range, egg production units, egg houses. Okay, there used to be battery fans a long time ago. Big one, welfare standards, cages have really moved on from those. So, lay their eggs in nest boxes. They're collected, moved by belts or whatever, sometimes collected manually, placed in trays. We're not that interested in that. Okay, brought to egg packing distribution centers. And these are big parts of the process then. Okay, so they're transported from the farm, cleaned, not always, candled. Okay, watch out for that one. They're passed over black lights. Graded, so candling, graded, put into the right grade. Stamped. Okay, so we can connect. So it's very important to go back even over those guys, right? Laid, collected, transported, cleaned sometimes, candling, grading, stamping, okay, so that they're traceable and so on. Then packaged, okay, stored, and then redistributed. Okay, very good. Those farm to forks, I see, can I get those put up for you? We don't need to go into that stuff about cardboard, blah, 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 blah. Right, there's a good one there. I'm just summarizing that. Collection, transported, candled, graded, stamped, packed, stored, distributed. And guys, hygiene, biosecurity, and eggs. We've talked about this before. Such a key one. Okay, beef, a massive one. Okay, farm quality assurance, pushing how great Northern Irish beef is. Traceability, such a big idea. Such a big idea, guys. All right. Okay, we don't like to think about how things are done in the abattoir. Just be careful. The question about how you get them ready to bring to the abattoir. Remember, there are certain standards that have to be met before they can be transported. Okay, in their broth, they're stunned. Uh, Rather than say that they're killed, they're stunned. And then they are hoisted. And then they are cut. Their throat is cut. And they have a rapid death. And, it's completely aware. And look, the idea of food standards and so on, and hygiene and animal welfare. Ultimately, they are killing it. But anyway, is massive part of that. Okay, so they can do a lot of checks at the slaughterhouses. So after they're stunned and slaughtered, they've still got to be skinned. They've still got to be deheaded. Okay, internal organs have to be taken out, split, and then butchered properly, inspected, tested for disease. So it's worth taking a look at that, guys. Okay, you even hang the carcass for a certain number of days to get the right tenderness, the right flavor, etc. That changes, and then the butchering and the cutting takes place, lads. So it's probably just worth looking at those again. Suspending, skinning, removing their internals, cutting them, big saws nowadays, testing, and then the actual, after the hanging, the actual proper butchering. Okay, all those cuts that are taken out of it. All right, then they're processed. The cuts that are left, then there's further sort of production taking place, but hygiene everywhere and animal welfare. Okay, so there you are. It's put together nicely for you there, yet again by Uncle Brendan. All right, boom, boom. We definitely won't watch that. And it'll do this. Right, so I'm going to just look now at the questions that are related to food production only. I'm not interested in the intensive farming one. So we'll just go through those. I'm not interested in that. There we are. That's a classic. Milk, the stages of milk processing, how different methods of preserving milk are used to make a range of dairy products. So probably won't get as hard a one as now. How are eggs prepared for sale? Okay, so you've got your collection, your candling, your grading, your stamping for traceability. Okay, we're not into that there question yet. There we are, back again to milk processing before it leaves the farm, pasteurization, homogenization, and things that are tested for in the milk. Okay. We're not interested in that question yet. We're only into food. Okay, consumer food choices. Oh, look here. We'll come to that later on. All right. Price would be one, and ethics would be another there, lads. There's another one about production. How are cattle made ready to leave the farm to go to the abattoir? Well, they must be check that they are fit to travel, okay, that they're not limping or anything like that there. And also they have to have tags and all for traceability. You can't bring a randomer to the abattoir. You've got to have traceability. Okay, and then there's that whole beef process. We're not interested in that. We'll come to that back later on. Different types of production. There's a little bit about annual milk yield. Remember we said 8 to 8,500. Well, it's intensive farming. We're not into that. We're not into that. We're not into that. Milk processing. There's that cropped up again. Cows, how they got ready for processing. And then there's beef and intensive farming. Okay, lads. That's that one hopefully done.